You're live. Just a second. That'll pass the ribbon commercial, or push. There's an old commercial when I was a kid. I need the mayor right there, so. You got the boss chair. You want to trade?
No way.
I know you like the big chair.
Okay, the time is 6:30. I'd like to call the Mayflower City Council meeting to order. It is June the 24th, 2025. I'd like to make everyone aware that the mayor is not here. He is recovering from surgery, and so he will not be with us, so we'd like to remember him in our prayers. So if you would stand with me now for the Pledge of Allegiance.
There it is. It moves. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I know some of you may be here to speak, and there will be a segment on the agenda for public comments, and it will be after we have the regular city council meeting that's on the agenda, there's a public comments portion, and you'll be allowed to speak then. Mark Hickman,
Here.
Zach Jeffrey,
Here.
Jack Paul, Kyle Marks,
Here.
James Snyder,
Here.
Larry Hill.
Here.
Okay, the first item on our agenda is approval of the May 2025, May 27, 2025 council meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the second minutes of the council meeting.
Have a motion and a second for approval of the May regular city council meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the next item is the May 2025 financial statements.
Make a motion to accept the May 2025 financial.
Second.
Okay, voting on the financials would be Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Kyle Marks,
Yes.
James Snyder,
Yes.
Larry Hill.
Yes.
Okay, on the agenda, we have resolution 2025-24, and we have it as the consent administrative order. But I understand through our engineer, Kyle Breckenridge, that we have adopted that, and so we need to adopt a resolution that would allow the mayor to sign any documents for funding administered by the Arkansas Natural Resource Commission. So with the council's approval, we'll have the attorney read the resolution number 2025-24.
Resolution 2025-24, a resolution designating and authorizing the mayor and manager of the Mayflower Water and Wastewater System to execute certain documents in connection with funding administered by the Arkansas Natural Resources Commission.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2025-24.
Second.
Voting on resolution 2025-24, Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Kyle Marks,
Yes.
James Snyder,
Yes.
Larry Hill.
Yes.
Okay, is someone from Half Engineering Firm here to discuss the paving of North Main Street?
Good evening, council. My name is Joe Moore with HAP, and I stood before y'all a couple months ago to talk about the paving of North Main Street project. The last meeting, y'all were approving a proposal of ours to do the design of that overlay project, and we've finished the design of that, updated the quantities and cost estimate for that project, vetted the project with Jimmy Johnson with the city, and are here tonight to one, discuss the cost estimate update, and then ask for authorization from the city to advertise and bid the project for construction. I do have a updated cost estimate that I can pass out to council if you want.
Thank you.
Can I get your name?
Yeah.
Jay?
Okay. As you'll see on this cost estimate, the very bottom, the total anticipated project cost, and this is our engineer's estimate, is $709,000. This is about $60,000 over the cost we brought y'all prior to doing the design. That cost estimate was just under $650,000. The biggest contribution to that change was the addition of concrete head walls at all of the pipe culverts that cross Main Street. We had originally accounted for head walls at the box culverts, so your larger crossings. But in working with the city, we decided to add head walls at all the smaller culvert crossings as well.
What benefit will that add?
What's happening at the culvert crossings is your roadside ditch is crossing under the street, so it's turning perpendicular to the street at those locations and going, and water's flowing one way or the other. What the head wall does is help protect the embankment of the road, because you have water moving against the road, and it can be prone to eddying around the entrance of the culvert. So the head wall tries to stay there.
Prevent the erosion.
Right, prevent erosion. The reason we had priced that on box culverts and not smaller pipes before is that's sort of what's out there today. But in discussion with the city, that we decided to recommend head walls at all of the crossings. There's a couple other items that add cost to the project, or that was different from the original estimate. Part of this project is going to be to add a 2-foot section of gravel outside of outside of the asphalt on either side of the road. There's sections of the road where the existing roadside ditch is within that 2-foot buffer. And so there'd be some ditch grading required to shift the ditch a little further out so that gravel wouldn't impede the flow of the ditch. So those are some items that we just, when we got into design, got out in the field walking it, identified that ought to be done.
Got some more questions, Mr. Moore.
Sure.
I know the last time we talked, we were asking about the easements and things. Were we good as far as easements to do that 2-foot widening on each side of the shoulder?
Yes. So as we discussed the last time, we didn't do, and it wasn't included in our proposal, to do a formal identification of the right-of-way where we go out and find all the deeds and all the property records. But everything we're doing appears to be, right alongside the edge of the road. And
Within
I
that
don't really have
25-foot
a
center line easement, we
right.
discussed it.
Right.
And 2, and I know it wasn't in your scope, but did you happen to, did we look at the existing culverts that were going across the road now? Because it seems to me like if any of the culverts themselves are in need of repair, it'd be the time to do it before we overlap the road. Are they all in pretty good shape?
As best we can tell, so we did not, I'll say what we didn't do because there's a lot of ways.
So I know I'm throwing questions at you around the scope.
That's why I'm here, so that's no problem. We've driven the pavement and done a visual inspection of the existing pavement. We don't see any signs of the existing pavement to lead us to believe that there's a failed joint or something like that that's causing a pothole or a sinkhole over any of the existing culverts. We did not go in and go inside the culvert ourselves or stick a camera down in there or anything to do a visual inspection inside the culvert. But I'm not seeing anything on the surface that leads us to believe that there will be a failure on the culvert itself. There are a few places up and down the road, although minimal, that there's actually, rutting on the road or a depression in the pavement. And we did include some cost for doing a full depth. Actually, take that back. We were talking with Jimmy. Jimmy said that we would identify those areas and that the city street department would come in and replace the subgrade of those areas. A couple of which are close to the culvert, but at this day, I don't see any sign that there'd be a failure.
Well, it's someone that traverses that road every day. I think there are a few culverts that may be even abandoned at this point that have been
Just there.
the older culverts that have been replaced by bigger PVC culverts.
Right.
That maybe they're not even used anymore. I guess that would be a Jimmy thing as we're doing that. Again, it just seems to me like while we're fixing the road, that would be the time to rip those old culverts up.
While you're touching.
Put that sub base down instead of putting a new road down, and then a year from now saying, hey, we need to replace this culvert and pull it out and have to cut it and patch it and that sort of thing. So that sounds like an any-kind thing with Jimmy though, and out of the scope of this bid.
It sounds like something, so I'm speaking for Jimmy, but it sounds like something that he'd be able to handle with his crew. I know he's trying to save some costs by having city crews extend all of the small diameter pipes because they feel like they have the capacity of doing that. So I think pulling a pipe out of the ground would be something they can handle. It's something we could certainly, look at with them if we saw concern. The other thing, the last thing I note on this, but, is that this is our estimate. The next step of this process would be to formally advertise it, to let actual contractors who would do the work provide a price. That would come before the council again for consideration. So this is our best guess estimate as to where we're at this point.
So what do we need, a resolution to do a sealed bid, put a date on that? I mean, how does that?
That would be fine under your rules, and you could adopt that process for this particular purpose.
So if we were to do that tonight, in your opinion, what would be a time frame that we would need to set for a close date on bids and that sort of thing?
I think so. In city attorney, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're required to publicly advertise it for 15 days. Normally have to get it to the newspaper about a week before that. So I think that you could advertise and have bids ready for your end of July council meeting for your consideration if we were to go ahead.
And I guess how long would it, in your professional opinion, would it take a company, say they saw the bid on the last day it rained, to actually put together a bid? Is 30 days a reasonable time, or should we extend that another month to give everybody a chance to? I'm asking the question, just.
Typically, we'll give them that between the minimum 15 days and 30 days to put a bid package together. I've never had a contractor have an issue with that.
Just you lay out instructions and request to them.
I imagine they all pretty much use templates and just put in metrics to get to prepare their bid anyway.
Yes, sir, and I'd say that this is a pretty straightforward project scope. It's
Right.
not, when a project scope becomes a lot more complicated, then we'll oftentimes give them more time to look at it. But this is a pretty straightforward.
Yeah, don't have any overpasses, sidewalks, and all that kind of stuff to deal with, so. Okay,
So our next council meeting is July 22nd. Will we make it into Friday before our council meeting? Is that when the agenda comes out on Thursday? So
well, we could go ahead and put it on the agenda and then because we know we're gonna discuss it, and then just say all the bids need to be in, like you said, the Friday before, so that we can start reviewing.
And I know it's pretty, I've probably embarked this before. When looking at a proposal, do we have to put wording that we will accept the absolute lowest bid?
No,
I just don't want to get caught up, we've gotten caught up in language like that before.
yeah, the language should be
Business to be low.
something like, most value,
Most qualified,
most qualified, best value. You can have really low price and you get really low quality, you have low value. When you have a higher price, you get real high quality, you have higher value for a little bit more. So we want value, not necessarily, we don't want low price and garbage quality.
I guess the question I'm leading to is, do we sit there and try to voice piece this thing together tonight, or do we put together a proposal that we can then vote on and do it the right way, get it, that we both can send out?
I can interject here. So that's a piece of what we're under contract to do is we set up that advertisement. We've got language that we use. It's pretty standard in cities that we'll work with the city staff to establish those bid dates, and then we'll send that to the newspaper. City staff is more than welcome to review that, but we can set up the wording so you don't have to.
No, and that's why, so if a general resolution to turn that over and allow opening for those bids, I'd make a resolution to that.
Second. Let's get it going. I mean, it'd be great to have Main Street done.
Okay, tell me again what your motion and second pertains to, a resolution for,
To allow HAP Engineering to put together the bid proposal package, to release the advertising, and to open it up for bids.
Start
Seal
receiving bids.
For contractors. I think that's what I need to, but
And then have submitted bids to us by, what would that be, the 18th? Friday the 18th?
and that's what I'm asking, if that timeframe works, if not, we can push it.
I think it works. There's the 4th of July holiday in there. We'll let us put a schedule together. I think that'd be the goal, is to have bids ready. And part of what we do is, what I'd recommend is that we'll set the bid opening date about a week before your council meeting. That'll give us a chance to run the numbers, make sure there's no mathematical errors, and then provide a recommendation to go on to the council meeting that following Tuesday.
If that all falls in that timeline, and I guess that was my question, is do we have to set that timeline, or can we just make a general resolution to turn it over and open it up for bids?
We can say,
Not trying to dig in the weeds here, but
well, we could just say July or August, whenever it's ready.
Professional services don't have the requirements of these bids, so you can let them do what they do, and then, look within the parameters of that, that'd be fine, we don't have to micromanage it. But
and I guess my other question is there anything in my proposal for that resolution that I need to clean up while we're leaving it back with?
Okay, your motion was to prepare a resolution for a bid proposal package to be submitted by July. Do we need to put a date by half of June?
By the July 22nd council meeting. I don't want to put that under unreasonable timeframes, but I want to turn this over and get it done.
It's reasonable. For some reason, there's a hiccup with the newspaper or something, we'll let you know.
And it won't be the end of the world if it pushes back to the August
And that
meeting.
was my
So,
sure.
yeah, shoot for July, take August if needed.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We have another item on our agenda. Are you prepared to answer our questions for that? Okay. This pertains to the invoice. I think the council had some questions. They were maybe a little late in submitting it to us, and we wanted to be sure exactly what the bill was for.
Sure, it is. So if I may, this was for services completed by HAP in September under our on-call city engineering contract. We were doing work on, there's a little bit of remaining billing for the MS4 permit completion of that. The second was under a design task, which was for performing inspection and design review of the Vineyards subdivision off of Miller Street. And so that, what we were asked in conversation with the mayor is I guess it was our understanding that the budget had been, reached for engineering services. And he asked us to stop performing those inspection services on that project back in September. This invoice was for services performed prior, to that request to stop. And so, the invoice always lagged behind about a month. So we had performed work at a total of $8,205.34 prior to that request to stop performing inspection services.
I guess,
So we had held that until the new budget.
but I guess that was our biggest question was services performed in September, and we didn't get an invoice until May, I believe it was. It's like, hold on, where is this $8,000 invoice coming from September? What even was that? Nobody had a good answer for what it was.
Yes, sir. It was just held into he had asked, we've hit the budget for the year. Can we hold it to the new budget year? Maybe we could have reissued it in February or something a little bit sooner, but we had held on to it until May.
It's an invoice we owe. I'll make a motion to
Pay
pay the invoice of $8,205.33.
$5.33. Second.
Okay, so then, since this is financial, Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Kyle Marks,
Yes.
James Snyder,
Yes.
Larry Hill.
Yes.
All the questions we have for the representative from that?
One more. Are
Yes,
there any
sir.
more invoices from last year?
No,
Okay.
that is it.
Okay.
Great question.
Any future invoices will fall under the asphalt project invoice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. And Kyle, before we move on, was there anything else that you needed to come before the council for?
No, ma'am. I was just here to answer questions about the resolution. So the CAO amendment that you passed, we just need to get that signed. The mayor will sign that, we'll send that in. The resolution passed tonight, we will sign the application for NRC to fund the fourth lane pump station project.
And I think probably that is signed, but it was just an oversight not to get it submitted. So we'll get all that done for you. Thank you, Kyle. The next item we have on the agenda is purchasing a Ford F-150 service truck for the street department. And I believe,
Even Joe asked me to step in, just had a family emergency. Talked about it previous workshop, the one of the price and stuff, I believe you guys all have the papers on it to get to you. We wanted to get it outright or finance it, whichever way you want to do it, and get that approved. And second, the truck we put in the shop, we approved to fix it for the 2650. We're about $700 off the total, $3,400. It's ready, but before we go get it, we want y'all to approve it before we get it, so.
You said
If I
it's,
was to do it, we're gonna.
said it's how much extra? 700?
I don't have it's under 3,400, it's 3653 or 3353, I believe he wrote it down, and then
The difference wasn't even in the transmission, it was.
it was in the coolant line and stuff that they had to add.
In addition, I'll make a motion to approve that invoice for the repairs on the current truck.
Second? No, Mark. We'll thumb wrestle for it.
okay, I think I heard 2 seconds.
Mark had it. Mark beat me.
And this is on the repair, right?
It's the 34, 33.
$3,400, not that, 3360, I believe.
Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Kyle Mark,
Yes.
James Snyder,
Yes.
Larry Hill.
Yes.
And the other item we had up,
Purchase of the new F-150 for 48,338.
Yeah, and so, and I think Mr. Schneider put some numbers together and an analysis of those numbers attached to the email that Krista sent with the financing terms. Street departments, I didn't know Shane would buy it outright, but I don't think we can and pay for it out of the 1%.
No, we would
It
have,
needs
if
to
we
be-
buy it outright, it would come from street.
Is there a term that needs to be met from the 1% on a lease?
No,
That we would
it
then,
has to be under 5 years or it'll be considered long-term. That's the only,
okay, so. So I make a motion that we purchase it on the 36-month term.
I would agree. The numbers I sent out, total paid, that is by far the cheapest. The second line, we add another almost $1,600 to the total price, and the third one, we add $3,200 to the total price. So we're paying longer and more. Yeah, I would agree. 36 months, lowest interest rate and lowest total paid.
okay, and this will be purchased out of the 1 cent, 1%?
yes, it'll be leased.
And Crystal, thanks for getting us these numbers.
Sorry.
Thanks for getting us these numbers. That was helpful.
Sure.
We have a second to the motion?
Me, second.
Discussion on terms. I was just, we're gonna motion saying, were there any discussion on the terms?
Can the city, can we, Crystal, on financing, can we go through a credit union as a city, or what is the status with that?
We can use anyone that we want to. The reason that Jimmy always ends up going with Welch under a lease is because no one can beat them at their interest rates. It just, they never do, especially for heavy equipment.
I didn't know, I saw a deal with one of the credit unions, it was like 1.8 something, but who knows, I mean, by the time you get it all done, I didn't know if it was worth chasing down that rabbit hole
I
or.
don't think they can meet the interest rate anymore.
Yeah, I saw that too. It was as low as 1.58% APR. I mean, that's below prime. I was like shocked. But I mean, what are we looking at? 5%? Okay.
5%, that's why I don't mind the financing, because not that it's the same money, but our interest-bearing accounts
Right.
are not that, we're not losing money. It's not 8%, it's my point. It's a
Exactly.
better rate than what we're getting paid.
Yeah.
So,
For sure. Do we ever look around at any of those or?
We haven't had Yeah, so you can check with Centennial because we have loans, it's loans that is well right now, the interest rates. I didn't see anything, below 9.
Okay, I didn't click through to see what all the stipulations were. It's a credit union, in Saline County, and it said 1.58, and that caught my eye.
These leases, another reason that we go with Welch is because it's technically a lease, but at the end of the lease, we get to purchase the equipment for $1.
Oh,
Which is what makes it available to be purchased out of the 1%.
Yes, right.
So most of the banks I'm asking about, they probably would be
No,
today, so,
right.
gotcha.
there you go. That makes sense. Okay. Worth asking about.
Yeah.
When you see a rate like that, you gotta ask.
Any other questions? Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Kyle Marks,
Yes.
James Snyder,
Yes.
Larry Hill.
Yes.
Thanks, Ron.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item we have on the agenda is Antonio Jameson. I believe he has asked to use long-term the Senior Community Center.
Hey, how y'all doing again? We here, I'm Antonio Jameson and this is Sylvia Garvey. We've been teammates since 2014 since we worked at the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. We started a after-school program here in Mayflower 3 years ago, and we've been located inside the storm shelter. We've been paying up from $700 to $1,100 to help kids with reading and with their social emotional needs. And we noticed that the senior center is open for rent, and we would like to have our kids of Mayflower to rent out the senior center, the community center, for 2 days a week. We asking for 3:30 to 7. You know, we would like to get in there at 3:30 so we could bring their food. They get fed from another nonprofit called Bridge to Success out of Little Rock. They drive from Little Rock to feed us. I heard, and we just found out that Mayflower has a place that we're gonna ask them, can they feed our kids? At 5 o'clock every day, we have certified teachers coming in and teach kids things. 6 o'clock, we probably have Toe to Toe and UCA come in and teach the kids Spanish. On Thursday, we have iCode Little Rock come and teach the kids coding. And then right now, I want to invite everybody, on August 9th, we're going to have 11 new authors from Mayflower. They books going to be on Amazon for sale, and they're just activity that we bring to Mayflower to help kids know the importance of reading. So today we stand before you all asking, can we rent the place or donate it to us for 2 days? We own a 21st century funding. We one of 87 in the state of Arkansas. We one of 2 in Faulkner County, and the funding that we have, it was approved through Congress and signed into law by the President of the United States. So we think it's a big deal, and they tell us it's a big deal. And so, and it's here right here in Mayflower. We just, right now we have no place for the kids, and we just asking the city council to be able to rent the building for we can teach the kids here in Mayflower.
I mean, we just came from a training in Hot Springs where we met with a lot of the people that's doing this same program. And we were astounded by how much the other communities were assisting this program, whether it was transportation through the school, whether it was the pastors coming forth and the counselors from the school coming in. And it was just amazing to us that that's all we're trying to do is to help kids, and we've come up with so many roadblocks. We would like to rent the senior citizens building, and we'll work around the hours that you guys can give us.
So we've been through this for a few meetings now.
3.
Yes, and listen, I'm in full support of trying to find a time. In fact, I reached out to Mr. Jameson this past week in support of finding a time and terms and everything that it worked out. The way that governing bodies work, it would be difficult for us to sit here and negotiate terms as a panel of, well, 5 members. Can we give authority to someone like Chris Matthews to work out details and present a polished proposal to the council to then vote on? Is that what we need to do? Because we're still throwing up days of the week in the air, hours in the air, and we haven't even talked about terms as far as rental agreements, money, what sorts of things are expected. We've kicked it all around, but nothing's been decided. There's nothing to vote on at this point, the way I see it.
And Chris, I think, has been closest to, engaging neighboring communities and looking at their contract and how they rent their buildings out and putting together a draft contract. I think he's probably the most qualified to do that. So yeah, we're kind of, I don't think Chris is here. We're going to volunteer.
He's actually training again.
He's going to get voluntold to do something else.
Can we give that authority to him to negotiate the terms of the agreement and then bring it back to the council as a proposal for a long-term rental, and then we can just vote on something instead of trying to come to.
How's that sound, Antonio? Moving forward a little bit there, getting closer to, you work with Chris, hammer out all the details so we can, and then they'll bring it back with the specifics. This is the day, and then we can approve that.
We open to anything. Like I said last time, we've been in a storm shelter with no windows for 3 years.
Yeah.
And we was told that the decision would be June 12th. We do have a lot of federal guidelines that we have to abide by, and plus our family, we telling our families, and the kids know, they just want to know how they gonna have after school program here in Mayflower, Arkansas. So, but we are open to that. That sounds great.
Okay.
Since we're licensed with the state of Arkansas, we also have to get in touch with DHS, and DHS has to approve the place and let us know how many kids we can accommodate.
I mean, I think those are all details that our fire marshal and code enforcement, that Chris would be the one to handle
Absolutely.
that on our part anyway.
Right.
So,
Capacity, fire safety.
And we just need, so in our funding it's a 5-year fund, and we just need to build it from August to May. And we done cut out, we ain't gonna be able to do no summer camp, so we already let the state know, we just gonna focus on teaching our kids here in Mayflower from August to May. If you all give us a chance to have it inside the community, senior citizens. Thank you.
I think it's just a matter of coming down and figure out the details. Because I think we all agree. I think that we all want you guys in there because what you're doing for the Mayflower kids is fantastic. Just got to work out those details and logistics. And it sounds like we're at a point now where we can do that, and you and Chris can hammer out, get in the weeds, get the details. We can vote on it, and then we can get you guys and the kids going.
When do you all think you all be able to vote on?
Hopefully by our next meeting, because hopefully by then you and Chris will already have hammered out everything, all the details, and then there will be, he'll bring the contract, say this is what we've agreed upon, and then we'll vote on it whether or not yes or no, up or down. Just because it's a long term, it's not just when someone's renting it for a baby shower. It's a long term thing. So we'll vote on it. But I would imagine since he's already worked on the draft of the agreement, that it probably won't take you two very long, or you three very long, to get to an agreement. Chris knows what is needed over there, and you know what you guys need for your program. So
that sounds good. Yeah. So if we could, ain't no way we could have a decision early. Cause like I said, we had told the state, we gonna have a decision on June 12th, and like before we had to let the DHS come in and monitor the bill, and then we had to, for our schedule. But if anyway, what day is your next meeting?
July 22nd.
Yep.
July 22nd.
Yep. Out. I mean,
we have a workshop on the 10th, and we can give it a thumbs.
You read my mind. We do have a workshop mid-month to kind of discuss things. So
and then anyway we can get the criteria. We've been asking since February.
Chris will have all that because it'll be in that agreement. All the criteria will be in the agreement. So, and he's the one who's writing it up for the city. So when you and he are working together, you'll have all the criteria. But it's going to be pretty basic stuff, I mean, You guys come in, have fun, clean up, and boom. I mean, it's gonna be pretty basic along those lines. So, but it is possible that we have, a workshop on the 10th. We have voted in that before, but there are some steps that we have to take in order to make that a possibility. We have to advertise it and stuff because it didn't become an official open meeting. But that's a possibility. We've done it before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, the next item we have is resolution 2025-25. It's a salary adjustments.
Resolution number 2025-25, a resolution approving the salary adjustment for 3 employees. The employees are Amanda Key, Kayla Begg, and Oliver Walker.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, set resolution 2025-25.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Kyle Marks,
Yes.
James Snyder,
Yes.
Larry Hill.
Yes.
The next item we have is another resolution, 2025-26, pump and mixer for Pump Station W.
Resolution 2025-26, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 15 horsepower pump and mixer for Lift Station W.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-26. Second.
Okay, who did the second?
Kirkman.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Mark Hickman,
Yes.
Zach Jeffrey,
Yes.
Kyle Marks,
Yes.
James Snyder,
Yes.
Larry Hill.
Yes.
Okay, under old business, do we have anything for the RFP or anything on the water board?
The RFP, I haven't seen a proposal yet come through. As far as water board, we did have our first meeting back before the June workshop. I felt like that was really well informative, and I feel like going forward, the water board's gonna be able to give some input, make some decisions to help our water and sewer system go forward. Great things for our community.
Okay, any comments from the council? Now we'll open it up for public comments. Anyone would like to address the council, you can come up to the podium and we allow 3 minutes for each person to talk. State your name, please, and the reason you're here.
Hello, folks. Gary Hammond. There's a water situation on Lake Forest Drive and Crackton. I have pictures of my shop. They put a tile in several years ago. It's washing my shop away. The back of it is almost down just to the framework itself. Then I get water off of Crafton. I get water off of Lake Forest. I get water up the hill, down the hill, across the street. And when they put the tile in, I asked the guy, I said, what do you put the tile in for? He said, city said so. Where do you want to put it? I said, nowhere. He said, well, you got to because the city said so. So anyway, he put the tile in, and it's been a problem ever since. And we need to do something. I got pictures to go see it.
And this was why I asked you, Mr. Hammer, have you approached Jimmy Joe Johnson about this?
He's the one who put it in.
Okay.
And he was told that was his.
He was told by the city to
do it.
they was paved it.
Yeah.
And he had put those tiles in before they paved the street again. So he said, well, we can put it somewhere else, on the other side of a ditch. Then it's gonna run my other yard, and it's gonna flood there. So anyway you went, it was a nightmare. Good for y'all, but bad for me. It should be good for everybody, not just good for the city.
It's
Well,
not
should-
benefit me at all, Mr. Harris.
Me either, brother.
It's not good for the city if the residents are underwater, so.
What was the address, sir? I missed the address.
Where I live,
Yeah, where the problem is.
it's at the corner of Lake Forest and Crafton, number 51, Lake Forest. Wrong corner.
Correct.
And then across the street where they want to put these duplexes, that's where we're getting water from now. So when they put them in there, it's gonna get worse. So I don't know what. Mr. Snyder told me to come up here and tell y'all about it. We're not gonna put a resolution on what to do about it.
And I'm curious if not, Jimmy Joe Johnson being out with a family emergency this evening and not knowing the situation myself, I don't know what action.
Well, I'm not talking to Jimmy Joe,
No, no,
I did
no.
what he said.
No, and not knowing what action to take, but we definitely look at it, get Jimmy to look into it and see what we can do to resolve the issue.
I appreciate it.
So,
Thank you.
Yep, sir.
Angela Johnson. I have been here in Mayflower the majority of my life, and I'm one of the many voices for the animals here at the shelter tonight. I know y'all already know that it's all gotten out that Mark Hickman and Larry Hill decided to take it upon themselves to make the great mistake of introducing mass euthanasia. Not only did y'all chose the wrong time because they just got recognized as a no-kill shelter. So, but also, you decided to specifically point out pit mixed dogs. Clearly, you didn't do any research. Pit bull is not a breed. It's an umbrella.
Could I ask you to speak into the microphone, and I need to get your name and address?
Joangela Johnson, 75 Center Road. Okay. You want me to pull this out from the beginning? Okay. Anyways, so pit bulls are not a breed. They are an umbrella of box head breed dogs. I've done studies in 4 different states as an animal control officer for animal care and control. I have been bitten more times than you can probably count. All by Chihuahuas, Labs, and Blue Pillars. Never once did a pit bull ever bite me. We also own a farm, and we always had pit bulls. They are the best working dogs we ever owned. We have Aussies who couldn't hurt a child if they wanted to. Like, that's their little dog, and they can't do it. But because y'all decided to go out of your authority and do what you did, we have now started a petition to have you both removed. And we're going to require 25% of the voter signatures. We've already got it started. If anybody decides we'll leave, I'll be standing right there in that little room when this is all over. That's basically all I have to say. Just, y'all made a great mistake.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Could you say specifically what you're charging us of having done? I mean, this is.
Misuse of power and not following proper procedures.
That's wrong. That's absolutely a lie. That is
Words
wrong.
say differently.
Her wording, it's my word, is it not?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's a lie. It's a lie. You fell for someone, gave you some information that's not correct. Let me tell you, let me ask you this, let me tell you something. You were here last meeting when Miss Clark came. Were you here last meeting?
No, I was here for the planning
She
commission.
came in and she has a dog that lives next to us. It's attacked her. It's been over a year, there's nothing been done about it.
Okay. And now Faulkner County shelter has been established for aggressive dogs. So what does that have to do with our animal shelter? Our animal shelter is not equipped
Exactly.
to
I
be able to
mean,
handle those aggressive.
If you'll let me
breeds. That's why
finish, I'll tell you how
Faulkner
it relates. If you'll let me finish, I'll tell you exactly how it relates. When we asked the police chief if he could help round this dog up and put it in a proper place where it couldn't harm one of our citizens, I took it on myself to go down and to ask Lisa, we have a problem. We have a dog that's a problem in the community. Can you pick it up? She said, no, I'm not authorized to pick it up. I said, well, can the police pick it up? And he said that he can't pick it up. And she said, if we pick it up, we don't have a place to put it.
And that is also on y'all, because I know for a fact, because when I was an animal control officer, I gave y'all all the proper paperwork to get a free animal shelter built so that you could house more animals and have quarantine areas. And y'all denied it.
It's not-
And then again,
What- hold on
you
just
were
a minute.
offered another shelter by someone else.
It's not
and
on
you haven't
me.
yet.
It's not on me. You didn't address that to me. What you need to understand is that what Mark and I were trying to do is protect the citizens. There's a woman that lives alone and she's being terrorized by a dog, a vicious dog, and there's nothing being done about it. And all we're just asking is, can we help her out? Are you aware of what happened in Saline County on the 11th of June? You are aware of that?
Yes.
Do you want that to
Dog
happen?
attacks happen literally every single day.
Yeah.
And majority of them are only posted because they were pit bulls.
I didn't say pit bull. I didn't say that. That came out of your mouth. I said a vicious dog. My complete reason why I went to see her, and I own a shelter dog that was my shelter, and I also went to take a dog to her that I found that was running loose. She didn't have room for it. I took it, I had it spayed and neutered, kept it for 4 months, and we finally found an owner for it. So I've done that myself. I love dogs myself. But I'm gonna tell you, when we can't protect our citizens, when we put our dogs over our citizens, then we need to think twice about what's going on. And that's all I'm asking. And I think probably Mr. Hickman was basically saying the same thing. Did you have something to say? I heard what you said. Thank you for your input. Anyone that's believed, any one of you that signed that petition and have believed that I went down there and told Lisa what you said she did, you've been duped.
The little bit that you heard, that I've heard. It's already right to come down there and say
You've been
everything I
duped.
said.
You've been duped. Where's Lisa? Where's she? Lisa? Is that?
We will listen to whoever comes up to the podium and speaks, but we're not going to be.
Well,
Let this settle out so we can hear, we want to hear what you have to say.
Remember, we have 3 minutes.
but
Yeah, 3 minutes.
I'm done with you. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound rude.
It's
You
okay.
can set up if you like, but because I think 3 minutes is probably over, but I won't respond to you. You can stay up here if you like. It's okay with me. Let them get done there. So, my name is Mark Hickman. I've been a councilman for 6 years. During that 6 years, I have, the closest I've come to animal control is driving by and seeing the dog pen. Okay, I've never involved myself in it. I've never fooled with it, never spoken to the council. I guess, ma'am, are you the animal control officer? Okay.
I am.
Okay, till today, I didn't know who, till today, I didn't have a clue what you look like. You come in and see it. And that's no offense, I just don't know. I don't involve myself in it.
Why
I'm on the
not?
record. Excuse me?
Why not?
Because it runs itself, and I'm a city council member. Well, let me talk, if you don't mind, okay? This is my 3 minutes, okay? Okay, you all right with that? So, but under direction of Mayor Hester, the lady last week came to the city council meeting to speak to the city council about a dangerous dog, okay? Got dog, love dogs, but I don't like dangerous dogs. And this lady says she's scared in her own house, in her own yard. She came and gave us this whole story, okay? So she leaves, and then she calls my cell phone a few days later. At which time, when I got off, I said, well, I need to get the other side of the story, okay? Wouldn't you agree that if it's your work, if somebody says something about you, and your supervisor or anybody else that has the authority, wouldn't you appreciate if they gave you your side as well? Let you give your side? The answer is yes. The answer is yes, okay? The answer is yes, okay? If somebody was accusing you of something, you would like to give your side of the story, right? I mean, just be honest, okay? I know you're upset. I know anything that's gonna say is gonna be wrong, but that's the truth, okay? So I called Kristen right there, and I said, hey, what's the animal control lady's number? I'm gonna call her. She gave me a number. I called the number and told her who it was. Said, hey, I want to get the other side of the story. Let her tell me the side of the story. She actually gave me some insight of this person and the dog and her dog and stuff like that I didn't know. So I got both sides of the story. Then she was quick to tell me that she answered the Hunter and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. I didn't call to ask any questions. I'll rephrase. I called to ask a question, didn't call to ask her to do anything. I'm not her supervisor, I'm a city councilman. I deal with the budget and things like that. So I asked her, I said, are you aware that there's a pit bull there? To be honest with you, I was not aware of that before the other night is what either, because I just don't fool with this stuff. We have people that fool with it. We have an animal control officer. She fools with it. She's done a great job as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. I just don't see it. Okay. So she said, yes, it's never enforced. I said, okay. So then I get off the phone. I had never said anything to anybody. The report doesn't say anything about it. I've never said anything about killing anybody or anything or any dogs or anything like that. And I wish that you would retract that, because that's not what she said, that's not what a report said, or that's not what anybody else said. So if you repeat what I say what I said, and not make up what I said, okay? Because I've never spoken to you, to my knowledge, and you come up here and said that I said I wanted to kill a dog. You said I wanted to kill a dog. No, I don't want to kill a dog. I don't want to kill anybody. I don't know how many dogs she's got or what they do with them. I have no idea. That's not in my purview, okay? One thing I do is set the budget and work with it. So if you want to do a petition, that's okay. That is quite all right. But if it ever happens again, that I have a question, I'm going to call the other side and I'm going to get both sides of the story. Okay? It will be that way, because unless I have both sides of the story, I can't make a decision on which direction I need to go.
That's 3 minutes.
I'm going to circle back around.
That's 3 minutes. That's 3 minutes. I just want that out there.
Okay. The mayor asked me, or asked this lady to come and speak to the city council. So as city council members, I made a call. I don't know what Colonel Hill did, have no idea, didn't know he called until this report come out. That's it. So thank you very much. That is the truth, and that's the other side. And if you have any questions, you've got my number. I'll be happy to discuss it with you. I'm an open.
That's what really surprised me is we have a trial and we're convicted to do something no one has even contacted me. I didn't know it was even a problem until I walk in this room or I find out that KRK is making a display tonight at 10 o'clock. So we're going to look really good there that we didn't give anybody the justice for all. That's what it's called, justice for all. You need to come to ask me if you've got a problem, and I'll be glad to spend any time. Anybody that knows me, if they've got a problem at their home, particularly like a dog is going to eat their leg off, I'm going to be over there to help. That's just who I am. And I'm sorry if that's not the right thing to do.
Thank y'all.
I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but my dog, I talked with you all a couple of weeks ago.
Who are you? What's your name?
My name is Abby Flood. I go by Ella Clark because Ella's my middle name. I have called Lisa several times over the past year about this pit bull harassing me when I've been out with my dogs. And I kind of just stopped even taking walks around the whole block because I was so afraid. And then I had a study done and it worked for a while, and that seemed to help because when the dog would come, I would do that, but it broke. But I wasn't even going on walks. I was in my own yard when this dog, the first time, attacked my dog. And I had my witness here who witnessed it and used bear mace on the dog. And the owner's boyfriend had to pull the dog away and get him in the car. And then I talked to the owner afterwards, and she assured me she was going to do much better keeping him in her yard. But then she was telling me her fence was broke, but then she said, I'll keep him inside, I'll do whatever. And I said, please, please just keep him away. Well, that lasted all of a couple weeks. And then a couple weeks later, she has another pit bull that's even more aggressive. And the two pit bulls were out all the time.
Where did she get those dogs? Do you have any idea where she got those dogs?
I think she said it was her brother's dog that was staying with her, and so now she has two pit bulls, and the new pit bulls seem to be even more bold. And the other one was already very bold, and he would growl. And he would come at my dogs, and I'd have to yell and scream, and sometimes he'd go away, and sometimes I'd just try to get away from him, but he seemed to get even worse with this new dog. And like I said, about 2 months ago, he came into my yard and started attacking my dog, and my neighbor had to bear me some. I was screaming, and the owners came down too, and the boyfriend helped take him away. Well, then 2 weeks after that, this new pit bull comes around, and they're in my yard a lot. I had like somebody coming to service my yard saying, "I'm not getting out of my car. There's two pit bulls out here." And I ran them off, and that day they ran off. I took rocks, and I was like, "Get away, get away." And they left. But they seemed to be getting worse. I tried to run them off a couple of times, and they turned around, and they started growling at me, and that scared me. And so I just went back in my house, and I did call the police, and I said, "They're always in my yard. They're making my dogs go crazy because my dogs are always barking. Makes my neighbors upset that my dogs are always barking because these pit bulls are in my yard." There was one other dog that kept coming at my yard too. But I wasn't afraid of him. He was just annoying. He was annoying because he kept making my...
Thank you for your comments. That's your 3 minutes. Thank you for your comments. That's 3 minutes.
There was one more attack.
Thank you for your comments, and we appreciate
Years
it.
ago,
Ma'am, thank you for
the
your
dog came
comments.
back. The two dogs came and
Thank
attacked
you for
my
your
dog
comments.
in my yard again. Seriously,
Thank you.
that's all you're going to do about this issue?
Yes, ma'am, you were given 3 minutes. Yes, ma'am, thank you.
But it's an ongoing issue, so it's a little bit long.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. Thank you for your 3-minute comment. Thank you.
I also have text messages from Lisa.
Thank you for your 3-minute comment, ma'am. Ma'am,
She also
please.
said to the police, she acknowledged.
Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment?
This is the way citizens are protected in Mayflower.
Chief, you said the neighbor, you've issued a citation and they have a court date, correct?
The neighbor's been issued 2 citations. We've got a court date to get her in front of the judge to resolve this. Not once has any of my officers witnessed those dogs on the property. I don't doubt that this has occurred because the dogs have gotten out. Lisa has dealt with them. They've not been aggressive towards me or to her that I'm aware of. That doesn't mean they're not at some point.
But you did respond, you've issued citations,
We've addressed the issue and written it to get it in front of the judge.
and she has a court date. So that's about all you can do under the law until the judge tells
If
you.
there's something actively taking place when I'm there that's aggressive, that's entirely different.
Right, but if you show up and the dog's inside, you can't do anything without judge's order. Gotcha.
Would a video suffice or anything like that?
That would go, it's a court thing.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, when she come here last week, we're trying to get to the bottom, somebody's gotta get to the bottom of it. So, I mean, I would think that if somebody's got a video or they've got some kind of evidence, then that, I mean, would that be enough to pick up?
It would go a long way towards,
Ma'am?
a video would go a long way towards.
She has pictures of the wrong dog.
I sent it.
You have pictures of the wrong dog.
No, I sent you pictures of.
I'd like to speak now. Could I speak now?
Lisa, you too, don't mind.
Sir, I would like to speak now.
3 minutes, ma'am.
She may have pictures of a dog, but it is not Nico, the dog in question. Yes, Nico has gotten out of the fence a few times, but he did not attack her dog. It was the brother's dog that attacked her dog. There's proof of that. I have text message between Ella and I. The second police report that Ella filed with the police department saying that Nico attacked her dog, she admitted to me that he didn't even come in her yard that day. And poor Marie got a ticket for that. I also have text messages where Ella's foster husky got out of the fence twice. In the same time frame that Nico got out, her dog was out. I went up there and helped her look for him. So she's a liar, number one. And I've got pictures of Nico and the other dog, and the dog that bit her dog was not Nico. He's a very sweet dog. So poor Marie is getting all these tickets for, yes, her dog got out, but so did Ella's. but her dog did not attack Ella's dog, period. I have all the proof. I've already printed it all out and turned it in. And as far as you, Larry Hill, you did come down to my kennels, and you did
I didn't give you.
tell me, sir, let me finish. I have 3 minutes. You came down there and you said you wanted all my dogs euthanized, every one of them. Yes, sir, you did. Every one of them, the pit bulls. I walked you into my kennels and you pointed at Biggs, Whitman, and Clark and said you wanted them dead. Remember, I asked you about my white lab Nellie and I said, sir, would you want me to kill this sweet lab? And you said, yes, I do. And you said that if I pick up a stray dog and bring it to the kennels and it's not adopted in 6 weeks, you want it euthanized. I was bawling and crying, was I not? Was I crying?
You were crying?
Yes, sir, I was, because you said you wanted all my dogs dead. You were going to make sure they were all dead.
Are you finished?
I am finished, sir, yes.
You're a liar.
No, sir, I am not.
You're a liar. You are a liar. You made that up.
You are a liar,
You
sir.
are a liar.
He is a liar, Chief. Sir, you are a liar, and I thought you were a Christian.
Listen to her. Listen to her. She was cursing me, and cursing the dogs, and cursing and like crying, throwing a fit. I've never seen anything like it on a public property. I asked her, had she ever considered alternatives to keeping dogs for 1.5 years? And she said, what do you have in mind? I said, do you think you might ever consider euthanizing some dogs? 1.5 years is a pretty long time. And she said, no, how long would you think we need to keep one? I said, well, perhaps 6 weeks, I don't know, but in the regulation it says 3 days on one that's not claimed. So we're not a no-kill shelter. It's in the regulation. It's in our ordinance. It says they can kill dogs. So I'm sorry there was a misunderstanding, and again, I want to tell you,
There was no misunderstanding, sir. You threatened me and my dogs. You're sitting up there and you're acting all sweet and innocent. You know what you did, Larry Hill. You know what you did. I'll step outside. I'll let the community speak for my dogs.
State your name.
I'll step outside.
My name is Todd Thompson.
I'll step outside.
I'm sorry.
My name is Todd Thompson.
Hey, Tom.
You need an address?
Yes, sir.
178 Jackson Avenue.
178. 178.
I guess hearing the stories and that, what kind of bothered me is you both, Mr. Hickman and Mr. Hill, mentioned about how they took it upon themselves. There was also a statement about the officers couldn't respond, Lisa couldn't respond. Anybody investigate why they could not respond? Because there would probably be the action that would be required. Why were their hands tied? Instead of going and blaming the dog, let's find out the situation why did the officers not able to respond? There's your authority, not behind the back, taking it upon yourself as an acting city councilman. That's where the line was over. Well, you're hilarious. But that is where the action has crossed the line, where you said it and took it upon yourselves. Even though you were under the authority and acting as councilmen for the city of Mayflower, remember, we elected you. We are the people, and we have a voice. And this is what we're trying to do, not to be smirked at. So, maybe you need to get a meeting where the council, the officers, the animal control and all that, to where we have a situation like that is coming up. We can reasonably act upon them. And then get to the root cause. Is it the owner or is it the dog? 90% of the time, if not 99% of the time, it's going to be the owner. Let's not do a Christie home where you just, because you just start, you're gonna kill us all. We're not gonna do that.
I'd like to respond, if you don't mind, sir. I'm not sure that you understand the role of a city councilman and a citizen. If you came to me, for example, Mr. Hammer came to us tonight. He has a problem with his drainage in his yard. Are we supposed to help him out or just kind of just blow him off and let him go? If you had someone that had a vicious dog next to yours threatening your children or your pet, what would you want to be done? What would you do about it? What would you expect to be done about it? What would you expect us as a city council to do about it?
Well, they came here and they were told that they could not act. So as a city councilman, wouldn't you want to get to the root cause of why the authority could not act?
Exactly why I was there. Exactly why I went down to see her.
But you were doing it privately, not as a group, not as a council member.
I've gone by to see her before and thanked her for her service that she's done. I've gone by, just drove by, went in and say, hello, thank you for what you're doing for the community. It's a one-on-one. Sometimes you have to take the initiative to stand up. Someone has to do it. In other words, you could just let it float. And we could let Miss Clark go on now for the next 4 or 5 years being terrorized. But if it was your wife or your mother or your sister were to call me and say, I'm being terrorized in my own home, as a city councilman or as a private citizen, either one, I would be the first one to be there to help her. And that's exactly what I'm doing, sir. That's exactly the precise what my intentions were. It was not to create a problem, but to solve a problem. And I hope.
I think the kind of the point that I would like to make on this whole thing is that when we ask Chief, hey, has something been done about this? Is something being done about this? The answer is yes, something is being done about this. Let's let the system work.
I agree with that, but the system is not working, Kyle. The system is not working.
How is it not working? We haven't let it work yet. It's working its way through right now. It's working right now.
As far as
There are actions you can take and then find out why. These people, find out why. They could not respond.
We actually did that. So I'll let you know as a council, we did. We asked Chief, what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the 4th and 14th Amendments prevent law enforcement from just walking in your house and taking something. Illegal search and seizure, equal protection of the law. Chief and his officers can't walk into someone's house because a neighbor says a dog attacked me, take the dog out and back and shoot it. Totally illegal. So we did investigate, we did ask those questions, and that's when the chief let us know that they've cited her now twice, and she actually has a court date, like what Councilman Kyle was saying, is that the system is, the wheels of the system have been engaged and are moving, and the officers couldn't take the dog because they were limited by the law. Now, Chief says, hey, if the judge tells me to come and take the dog, I can do that. So what's Chief do? Gets her in front of the judge. Now, if the judge says he can do that, then he's no longer bound by 4th and 14th Amendments. He can go ahead and follow the judge's order and take the dog. But Chief and his officers can't do that on their own. And as a governing body, we don't have the authority to ask law enforcement to go do something that violates the Constitution. So we did do that. We wanted to get to the bottom of it too. But the chief has engaged the courts. She has a court date, and then we just, like Kyle said, we just kind of have to wait and see what the judge says. Because the judge is, in this case, the judge is the only one with that authority.
Well, that's the proper action. That's the professionalism that we require.
Yes, sir.
And that was excellent. Thank you, Mr. Snyder.
My pleasure. Happy to help.
Yeah, no more row. Let's all work together, get at the issues, and solve it within the law.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Go on, so.
Thank you.
Good evening.
introduced myself a couple of months ago when I met you guys. I'm Dana Venable. I'm the rescue that places animals out of the shelter. Just to recap, over the 5 years, we've almost adopted 1,200 dogs. I just want to get clarity since I've come back from the meeting, just to make sure that if the city council in any way is entertaining wanting to move forward with euthanasia for the dogs due to the capacity of the shelter.
My personal opinion, absolutely
There's
not.
nothing presented to this council about a vote on anything of the sort.
I'm not saying that.
Everything we're hearing is rhetoric, is the point.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
so I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't want to hear what you guys say, but nobody's mentioning that. Nobody's requesting it. It's not gonna have it on my vote. I'm not for it. It's okay. I called to ask a question. I didn't respond a while ago, but what we do is with department heads or people like that, if we have a question, if there's some question marks or some questions, some blanks in the story, all I like to do is get both sides.
Sure.
Okay? I don't know if I said something to offend our animal control officer or if he was already inflamed or what the case may be. To be honest, that's just not my cup of tea. I know Kyle here, man, he's a big, animal supporter, and that's great. I'm happy about it. So I really don't have a position. I was kind of surprised I got drug into this. I don't know about Carl Hill, that's not my business. But for me, I will do it next time as well, sir. If there's a problem somewhere, I will call. If there's a problem with the water department, call, say, hey, we need to talk about this. I'm trying to get some questions answered. Okay?
Sure.
I've done it, went and sat down with Crystal about finances. I went and sat down and talked with Barbara. I will talk to anybody I need to make the right decision, and that's what we make, okay? But nobody's making any claim of anybody, go to bed and rest tonight. Nobody's gonna kill anything, okay?
Sure, and to your point, I don't want to assume anything either, so I'm not here to make the assumptions that that's been done or said. But I do want to take the opportunity, if it does come into question, because there are some cities that are kill shelters, right? And if that was a possibility that you were entertaining doing that, I will probably be removing my assistance from placing all the dogs at this city because I have so much invested in them. I know that there are difficult decisions to be made. I understand. It's not cut and dry. It's not easy, especially when you have an attack or you have other things that go on and the shelter's full. And that's just something else, I guess, as I leave, I want to pose to the city is maybe considering, and you might have already talked about this, that setting up for breeders and for your dog owners now, registering their dogs, making sure that they're spayed and neutered, because a lot of what we handle at the shelter are dogs that have been dumped within the city limits, litters that have been dumped. We have 2 moms, I'm sure you've heard about, that have 9+ babies apiece that were born in the shelter a couple of days apart, and it was dogs that were dumped in the city limits. If maybe it had been imposed upon the city that they had to register their pet, maybe that wouldn't have happened. They would have had to have shown proof of that at some point. So please, I'm not here for any assumptions. I just want to make sure that y'all know where I stand as your placement for the animals in the shelter. I will have to pull out and focus on another shelter if we have to move to a high volume euthanization, and would like to have some notice beforehand if you start to move in that direction so I can get the animals I've currently fed out of the system. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I don't see that happening. I mean, I'll go on the record. I'll tell you now, I would not vote for that. I did pet rescue up in Michigan for a long time and had dogs in and out all the time, and we were part of a no-kill shelter, so totally about no-kill. So you got a commitment from me. I'll tell you now, I will not vote to kill those animals.
Perfect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else for any other concerns?
I spoke with Christy McMillan.
Can you state your name? Can you state your name?
Rose Glover, outreach coordinator for the Mayflower Senior Center and Community Center. I spoke with Ms. McMillan just long ago and let her know that there would be a meeting with Antonio and Chris, and she asked the council to consider her being in on this meeting since it is concerning the Senior Citizen Center. Is that that a possibility?
Who is this again?
Like
A
this,
representative from the Senior Citizen Center in
Uh,
the discussions.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Christy McMillan is executive director.
yes.
She would be a representative of
Yes.
the Mayflowers. No, yes.
I don't see a problem with it. She's a valid
I
stakeholder.
think they need to talk with Chris. I'm of the thought that more input is always better on anything, especially if it affects. She's gonna be representing the seniors, in the program. Absolutely, as far as guidelines and things that need to be ironed out, things they
Yeah.
need, because they know what they need more than,
Questions
more than
can,
we know what they need.
yeah, questions can be answered up front instead of them becoming issues to be fixed
Yeah.
later. Yeah. I don't see a
See a
problem with
problem
that.
with Chris
No,
communicating, if it's not a sit-down meeting, at least communicating the wants and needs of the seniors, because there is that time butting up for one another, and the expectations and things like that. See a problem? A representative conveying that to Matthews.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'll let Ms. McMillan know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for coming back up, but since somebody, I just got a question. Does the Senior Citizen Center and the Community Center send a representative to the other people who already rent the community center? We just not the first ones coming to rent the Senior Citizen Center.
Well,
Be sure that the church had some communication.
oh yeah, the church and the
What about
seniors.
AA? What about other people that,
AA, the AA thing, I don't know. Okay, so
we
they.
don't have no problem. Come on, because we don't want it to be like
Oh,
we're trying to kick out anybody.
No, Antonio, we know it's good. What they're wanting is basically a seat at the table because
Yes, sir.
they're there and right as they're leaving, you guys are coming in. So they want a seat at the table just to make sure that transition time is smooth, just to make sure their voices are heard.
Yes, sir.
You know, it happened the same thing with church. At first there were some questions and then everyone got together and it's like, holy cow, we're all here for the same thing.
To be fair, this is not throwing them under the bus or anything. It's a lot easier to have their voice at the table on the front end
Mhm.
than it is for issues to arise on the back end. And then they say, well, we weren't represented.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
They're not coming saying, hey, we don't want them here. They're just saying, here are our concerns. Let's have them addressed, which you're totally willing to do. We know that.
Right.
So we don't anticipate any kind of problem. But like anybody, they want their concerns heard and they want their voice heard.
Yes, sir. And I want all the seniors to know, we don't want to stay out of here.
Sure.
But we just asking for 7 hours a week max
Yep.
to
Well,
educate kids.
we're working hard to get it there. So we just want to make sure we hear all the voices. And we can, like Mr. Jeffrey was saying, we can iron out questions, answer questions ahead of time, prevents them from becoming issues and problems later when.
Awesome.
So that's what we want to do. We want y'all to be successful over there. So handle everything now. We don't have to worry about it later.
Thank you, Mr.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Living at 75 Highway 89 South. Mr. Hammer had touched on a rezoning situation that's happening in our subdivision, and I have gotten together with a lot of our neighbors in the subdivision, and we are putting together a petition, and Mr. Snyder asked me to bring it to the city council to make sure that we had correct wording.
And that they came to the planning commission a couple weeks ago and there was a rezoning request for 2 lots. And on those 2, they want to go from R1 MH to R2, which would allow duplexes.
It's actually 4 lots.
Yes, you're right. 4 lots, 2 on each. So 8. Well, it's 8 units and a couple lots or something. 2 lots, and then each duplex has 2. They want to rezone some lots to do duplexes. So there's no duplexes over there now because it's zoned R1 MH. So just single family homes, mobile home. There's 2 mobile homes on those lots. He wants to pull them out, build the duplexes, investment property. He lives there next to it. So he brought a rezoning request to us. For the first time on the planning commission that I've been on it, there was a lot of opposition to the rezoning. So obviously we gotta listen to that. They'd mentioned they wanted to put together a petition. I said, absolutely, we'll bring it to city council, let city council know. You know, we kind of wanted to steer away from like spot rezoning anyway. We want to do, you know, blocked, yeah, not individual parcels. So we already want to kind of get away from that anyway, and we're redoing all the zoning with UDO anyway. So, given all of the significant pushback, we probably had maybe 24 residents here from that area, and every single one of them was like, no, I don't want it. So, everyone around the area.
I currently have talked to all but, I think about 10 properties that I haven't been able to either catch them at home. A couple of them I think are vacant. But there's some that I haven't been able to catch them at home to talk to them about it. Also have another guy that's actually working on getting some more signatures. So right now, I have 38 signatures. And I'm sorry, James, I misunderstood. I wasn't understanding that I needed to bring this to get the wording looked over to make sure that that was all correct, or I wouldn't have started getting people signed. So is it the attorney that needs to look at that?
Dustin, I told her we could not advise and instruct on what the language has to say, but that if there was something that the city did need, then we could look at it and say, oh, it's missing this.
Well, it needs to be on, are they on for appeal, the rezoning? I mean, that's not.
Actually, there was no decision made at the planning commission meeting.
Because of the opposition.
There was opposition, and if I remember correctly, I think the protocol is the planning commission hears the request and votes to approve or disapprove, or they can also send that back, you know, for some more information. But once they make their decision, it goes to the city council.
That's not what this is.
Right, but that's what she's doing. She's doing a petition because they were here for the hearing, for the public hearing. And now she's got signed.
We don't want to bring our petition to the city council, all signed, everything, you know, sealed, signed, sealed, delivered. And then y'all come back and say, well, this is not going to work because this wording, there's.
It's my understanding there hasn't even been a planning commission vote yea or nay on it.
Correct.
Right. They're doing a petition to let the city know.
To influence the planning commission
Yeah.
on their yea or nay vote that would then come to this body.
And to fully make public that the residents of that area are not in favor of the spot rezoning.
It's got to go through planning first anyway.
I have no requirements of what it says or doesn't.
Okay. So you're good. As long as it just, you know, clearly states what your petition is, then we don't have any specific language. Bring it to the next planning commission. And since now we've gotten some input, you know, we don't have legal representation. Dustin doesn't party with us at the planning commission, but, you know, we've gotten some feedback now. We get kind of a better direction on which way to go and make sure we're covered. So yeah, bring it to the planning commission and we'll be prepared to then take a vote at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Patrick Pay, 47 Lake Forest Drive. I've got a safety concern. I live on Lake Forest Drive and come off of 89 right beside Bates and go down. There's no marking on that parking lot to let people know that that's a street. And they swing out, and just about every time I go down there, I have to hit my brakes because somebody's backing out or pulling out into the street. And I'm just, you know, requesting that we could have some kind of marking inside that parking lot or something to let people know that that is a street out there.
You're saying there's like no line up, there's no road?
There's a long stretch that's not an entry on the store over there. The whole parking lot is adjacent butted to the street. So I don't know if a yellow line would suffice there, on the street easement.
Right.
It's a Jimmy's question. It would make the boundary between, and I guess give the right of way to the people that are traversing the street as opposed to
Yeah.
whoever's pulling out of the parking lot. That way, if there was an incident, you yield right away to the person that's on the street instead.
Yeah, I would think that a line
And it sounds
would
like-
that be sufficient?
So Fort West, it's just unmarked and.
Sure.
And people just use it like it's part of the parking lot.
Sure.
Let's get with Jimmy and Joe on that and see what we can come up with, and if we yell it, I'm sure he can maybe yell line at that.
Yeah, that's.
If not, it's actually great, if it's a border,
I get some cry line.
causes an injury. White line, but yeah.
Yeah.
It would be a white line.
Yeah, it'd be white to death.
My name's Jake Clemens. I've been in Mayflower for just a couple of years. And I don't mean, alcohol punchers. However, I'm extremely disappointed in the council tonight. Your behavior is completely unprofessional and unacceptable. That's a loss. You should have been.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything to say? Our next city council meeting is going to be Tuesday, July the 22nd. The next planning commission meeting is 6:30, Tuesday, July the 8th. The next council workshop meeting is Thursday, July the 10th at 6:30. If there's nothing further, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn.